Myth+Group Pet+CP free+Male cub+Slow heat. After the chaotic realization of the Caos Law and the birth of the 5 primordial gods, the world began. When heaven and earth first stand, a small figure dressed in a black cloak flies out of the sea of desire. He waves the sky and the earth. Wherever there is gossip, there is he. As the youngest brother of the initial deity, his birth was both a miracle and an accident. P.S. There is no CP on the main line, but there are private settings, depending on personal preferences. Chapter 1. The Beginning, Genesis. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Before the birth of all things, at the beginning of the formation of the universe. The entire space is shrouded in indistinguishable darkness, chaos, and disorder. The rules are intertwined and complex, time and space are chaotic, and life is being nurtured and constantly destroyed in disorder. Until one day, the chaotic will awakens. He is Caos, the embodiment of chaos, the beginning of all things, sensing the primordial deity nurtured within his own body. Use the supreme power to shape a youthful spirit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Driven by Caos, they completed their own conception and finally no longer faced destruction. The newly born deity carried its own unique laws, and in the darkness, 5 original creation gods emerged. They were born in chaos, and the world began from there. Gaia, the mother of the earth, drives the divine spirit, and chaos undergoes changes. The boundless turbid air sinks and transforms into a thick earth. The earth, mixed with darkness, is the eternal and unshakable pillar of the world, yet its vastness is barren. Barely exposed with earthy brown skin. Gaia frowned, thinking that the world should not be so monotonous, but what should be added? My brothers, what advice do you have? Darkness embraces the night, they blend seamlessly together, and Erebos and Nyx manifest themselves. Darkness and darkness envelop their bodies. 2 pairs of eyes, increasingly profound and mysterious in the darkness, fell on Gaia on the earth, and divine consciousness quietly grasped the tale named Fate in the darkness. My sister. Our home is in the depths of the underworld, it is endless darkness, said Nyx in the darkness of the night. Only your land stands alone here, why not create some creatures that can accompany you? After speaking, he and Erebus looked at each other and smiled. Eros of love/desire approached the darkness and night and said, the taste of love is truly wonderful. Brother and sister, are you considering becoming each other's partners, combining and reproducing? The feedback brought by the deity allowed Eros to know all the information about the priesthood, and he was the primordial god of lust. Even without initiative, all living beings in the world will be affected, and the primordial gods are no exception. And darkness and night share the same origin and are inseparable, being the first to be influenced by the clergy of Eros. If it weren't for the wrong occasion, they would probably have had a big fight in the darkness. As the primordial beings, they should have borne everything, and as for how they were born, they need to figure out their own way. Eros is restless. Darkness once again embraces the night in its arms, and the boundless darkness conceals its figure, as if unwilling to share it. Gaia gazed at the land that belonged to her own extended form, lost in thought, and it must be said that Nyx was right. They prefer to swim freely in darkness and abyss rather than being exposed to the bare earth. How do we create new creatures ourselves? My beloved father, Gaia hopes to receive your guidance. What can I do to make the earth no longer barren? Chaotic Caos transforms into the will of the world, seemingly disappearing but actually ubiquitous. Listening to Gaia's prayer, the gears of fate clicked and he responded. A light spot containing hope drifts down. Gaia smiled and said, praise you, my great father. He reached out his hand and the light fell on his fingertips. Then, the sky, symbolizing hope and the future, was born. His body expanded infinitely, and his area was as vast and boundless as the earth. With the sky as the beginning of success. Gaia gave birth to oceans and mountains in sequence through the depressions and protrusions on the earth. But spending so much of one's divine power is not enough to spread all living beings throughout the earth. Gaia made a mistake. Until Eros unleashed his divine power, the contact between the sky and the earth was like a stick encountering a raging fire, and the emotions in his heart continuously transformed into the most primitive movements of his body. Oh, it's so exciting. Eros covered his eyes and drifted back to his own sea of emotions/desires, sweeping the sky and earth not very friendly to him as a single deity. I used to think that darkness and night were the first to give birth to offspring, but now it seems that the sky and the earth need to be one step ahead. Uranus of the sky is obsessed with the vast body of the earth, and only Gaia can bear all of it. They are all the same vast and boundless. In addition to maintaining the normal operation of the starry sky and the universe. The rest of the time, the sky pressed against the earth, tirelessly plowing, allowing myself to fully overlap with Gaia and vent my excess energy. Through the continuous efforts of the sky, he and the earth gave birth to a total of 12 children. These 12 deities, born from the combination of the sky and the earth, are large in stature and possess strong divine power. Also known as the 12 Titans. After them, Uranus became more addicted to having more children with Gaia because he wanted to have supreme power. He is the God King, and all the gods are sons. Children should obey their fathers, and the position of the king cannot be shaken. Later on, the sky endlessly pressed down on the earth, causing it to constantly bear offspring. There are more and more children, but as the father god, Uranus is stingy and does not allow them to enter the sky's view. Every child is brutally and mercilessly imprisoned in Gaia's body by Uranus as soon as they are born. Among them, the ugly but powerful Cyclops and 100-armed giants were least favored by Uranus. Almost immediately after birth, I was blocked back by the original path. Gia was in great pain and shock. Unfortunately, he didn't think it was enough and only wanted Gaia to give birth to more offspring to defend his position. The Gaia of the earth is tormented, but Uranus is far more powerful than him and can even run into the endless universe and stars. As a pillar, the earth cannot reach the territory belonging to the sky, but Gaia does not want to continue in such pain. Children, who can save me? So Gaia instigated the children trapped in his body and instigated them to resist the autocratic Uranus. Overthrow the rule of the sky. He will promise the position of the next divine king. Unfortunately, the children suppressed by Uranus dare not resist their violent father gods and face the cry for help from their mother gods. One by one, they were powerless and hesitant to speak. Gaia said excitedly, "Listen, you can't tolerate it anymore. You should rise up and resist." No one answered. Amidst his sorrow lies endless disappointment. Should he seek help from his brothers? No. I used to be proud to hold power alone in front of them, but if I go, I will definitely be ridiculed. As the primordial gods of equal status, Gaia couldn't afford to lose face. Silent for a moment. A faint voice appeared, "Dear mother, I am willing to help you, but my strength is too weak. Do you have a way to suppress Father God?" Chapter 2. Divine King. Abyssal Abyss Movement. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Gaia was momentarily stunned and ecstatic. He looked at the little one inside him who was speaking, the last of the 12 Titans. "Oh, my dear little son, Cronus. Thank you for being willing to stand up for your mother. Of course, I have a solution, as long as you have the courage to resist. Destiny, even the original mother of the earth, cannot be violated. The earth cannot resist the sky, but fate can be used to overthrow it. This endless process of reproduction and reproduction means that children cannot be born yet, and they are all bound within their own bodies. Ulanos is too cruel and increasingly neglects himself, completely devoid of the respect he used to have. So his fate is obvious, the divine king is destined to be overthrown by his own offspring as an exchange of time. So Gaia used a mineral from the depths of the earth as a raw material and had the skilled one-eyed giant craft an exceptionally sharp sickle. He handed the sickle to Cronus and began to execute the plan they had made that night. When the sky completes the mission of the universe's operation, embracing the earth and preparing for a new round of struggle, a mournful scream echoed throughout the world. I used to immerse my body recklessly in the vast land and tightly against the sky, but this time it seems to have been stimulated by something, leaving the earth with a swoop. It was as if there was something on the earth that threatened him, causing him to flee far away to the sky and never fall again. The essence of the sky splashed onto the earth. Gaia gave birth to the monster giant race, the three goddesses of revenge, and the three goddesses of the white oak tree. Originally, this was the plan of Gaia and Cronus. He let Cronus hide in his body, and when Uranus relaxed his guard at the happiest moment, he used a sharp sickle to cut off Uranus's weakness. In the end, their plan succeeded. The loss of weakness left Ulanos in indescribable pain, and he cursed fiercely with his huge eyes open. The sky was forced to leave the earth, and the starry sky hanging above the universe transformed into an endless galaxy that could no longer move. The weakness originating from the sky was casually thrown into the Aegean Sea by Cronus. The sea is brawling and the waves are surging. The pearl-like white foam is surrounded by huge shells rising from the water. A goddess walked out of the shell. She has white porcelain-like skin, blonde hair shining with a captivating luster, blue eyes as tender as water, and lips as delicate as roses. The light and transparent gauze wrapped around her perfect body, faintly visible and making her linger in a mysterious place. Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, is the embodiment of desire/hope, the embodiment of beauty. Where she walked barefoot, beautiful flowers bloomed one after another, and the goddess of season had been waiting for a long time. The newly born beautiful deity was adorned with a golden crown, appropriate attire, and a golden belt symbolizing love, making Aphrodite even more beautiful and charming. She was born on the throne of the Lord God, even celebrating the laws and observing the gods. Love and desire. That is the authority that belongs to Eros. It seems that I haven't heard anything from Eros for a long time while I was giving birth and improving my laws. The color in Gaia's eyes leaped in the light and darkness, unsure of what was on her mind, waiting to clear her emotions. He looked at the children who had gained freedom from the constraints of the earth, feeling immensely relaxed and joyful in his heart. According to the agreement, my beloved youngest son, Cronus, you will be the new divine king. Yes, mother, my glory is with you. Cronus, as the winner, despite using means, did not hinder him from enjoying the fruits he had obtained. At this time, he did not mind giving due respect to the Earth Mother. Until he became the God King, all his brothers and sisters would obey his orders and could not disobey them. He successfully replaced the Father God and possessed the powerful power to monopolize the sky. His creation and destruction of time also received protection and bonuses from the law after becoming the God King. Abundant divine power poured into his body, and Cronus became a prisoner of power, but he was unaware of it. Overthrowing the rule of Uranus, Cronus ascended to the throne of the divine king in order to better maintain his rule. He invited his sister Rhea to become his wife and take over the position of Empress Dowager. My sister, come on. Rhea looked at Cronus's handsome appearance, her pretty face flushed with a blush. She placed her hand on Cronus's hand, and the great Earth Mother crowned her. All the gods are their brothers and sisters, bathing in the divine light together. Gaia gazes at everything with joy and emotion. Sure enough, Uranus is not here, it's really great. Compared to the sky of dictatorship, the Pontos of the sea is clearly much gentler. Now is the era of the Titans. As the highest-ranking mother of the earth in terms of seniority and status, all the gods are descendants of Gaia, so temples of the mother of the earth were established one after another, as long as they were on the earth. Mother gods are everywhere. The world above the earth and under the sky has nothing to do with the endless abyss in the deepest depths of the earth. That is a place where the gods do not want to step. The abyss accompanies darkness. The underworld environment they jointly formed is harsh. There is no sunshine, rain, flowers, trees, nor the laughter and joy of handsome male gods and beautiful goddesses together. Only eternal coldness and loneliness. Among the original 5 founding deities, the territorial mother was the most active, and her achievements were evident. Under the earth lies darkness, and beneath darkness lies an abyss. Among them, darkness and night gave birth to the gods of space, day, and the Styx river crossing. In order to perfect the laws of the underworld, Nyx of the night also gave birth to a large number of gods belonging to the underworld. They are different from the joy and recklessness on the ground. In the vast underworld, diligently fulfill one's divine duties, work hard and never waste one's divine life. Unfortunately, there is just too much work to do, and even if Nyx works hard to give birth to the underworld deity, there are still many legal vacancies. Furthermore, the underworld is located underground without any light, accompanied by the abyss, and the gods on the earth despise and fear it. Combined with the gods of the underworld, those seemingly terrifying priestly influences are clearly very powerful beings. Leng was treated like a peripheral character. The cold, mysterious, and terrifying underworld and its deities have always been revered by sentient beings. Neighbors who are also companions of the abyss. The sea of emotions/desires is the territory of the primordial god Eros. This is an independent space located between darkness and the abyss, adjacent to the underworld but not belonging to it. Anyway, love/desire is intangible. He himself is carefree and carefree. Compared to Tartaros who hides in the darkness and never goes out, the sticky and entangled Erebos and Nyx as the youngest brother of the original 5 gods. Eros likes to wander around his brother and sister's world with his own emotions and desires whenever he has something to do. Anyway, he wants to spread love/desire to promote the reproduction of all beings. However, recently, Tartaros, who enjoys living alone, suddenly discovered a problem. Eros, who often disturbed his rest, had been without news for a long time, and could not find any breath of love/desire in his divine realm abyss, as if it had disappeared. This is a very strange thing for the primordial gods. Consciousness materializes and emerges from the essence of the abyss. Tartaros furrowed his brows as he scattered his divine power inch by inch, startling the intertwined darkness and night. The siblings hurriedly rushed to the abyss. "My majestic and indifferent brother, what made you so difficult to drive your divine power? Your strength has frightened many of my poor and well-behaved children." Chapter 3. Searching for Eros. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The strange movement in the abyss caused the gods of the underworld to stop their work. As another part of the composition of the underworld, darkness is also affected. Most of the night lingers in the darkness, and he supports his husband, searching for the divine power of the abyss to question. Tartaros. He didn't want to shake the underworld, he just lived alone for a long time and didn't consider so much when using his power. Will Nyx believe that he didn't say it on purpose? Abyss chooses to shift the topic. "I am looking for Eros, have you seen him?" Eros. Erebos shook his head and said, "Unfortunately, we haven't been in contact with Eros for a long time." "Is something happening to Eros?" "Oh, our youngest brother," Nikes exclaimed in surprise, "let me see, where the hell are you?" Wherever the night can reach, it is the ears and eyes of Nyx, and there are few secrets in the world that can conceal it. As long as he is willing to investigate the root cause. Now, the incident of Eros has alarmed the original 3 of them, and Nyx has also been aroused with interest. Immediately mobilize oneself as the authority of the night, silently searching every corner of the world. Found it, our younger brother is. Love is intangible, and the essence of Eros is free and scattered, only feeling that the emotions on the earth are too mixed. Eros chose to be his neighbor to the dark and endless abyss, but that doesn't mean he's fixed in one place. Due to the particularity of the ontology. The sea of emotions/desires can be moved at any time, but among the 5 original founding gods, Gaia has a very strong control over the expansion and possession of territory. And the sky has been regarded by Cronus as his own possession, coupled with the Uranus of the universe's starry sky. Eros has great divine power, but he doesn't want to fight with other gods, so he tries his best to walk into the darkness. Most of the time he is asleep, and even if he doesn't do anything, the emotions/love/desires/hopes in the world will give him energy. Until one day, Eros realized that his divine power was decreasing, and as time and speed increased, he had reached a speed that he could perceive. Scared, he immediately woke up and checked himself inside and outside, and upon inspection, he discovered the problem. I don't know when. Suddenly, a small ball appeared inside her body, containing a divine fetus and being supported by her own divine power. The divine fetus has taken on a complete shape, and once consciousness awakens, a new deity will be born. Eros. At that time, Eros was stunned by the shocking news that he was pregnant inside his body. Like a pure primitive god, he has never played around like his brothers and sisters. Why? Was she pregnant? No. He doesn't accept it. Eros firmly believed that he was innocent and implicated. Perhaps it was some bastard who admired him who conspired to make him unclean, or maybe it was some deity who overshadowed the world, accidentally passing by and causing. In summary, if he discovers the origin of the child's bloodline, Eros will definitely punish the other party very severely. No big deal, please ask my brothers. Dragging the god of sin into the underworld, accepting the scorching of hellish fire, soaking in the highly poisonous Styx river. If the gods do not die, it will be the pain of eternal life. Eros cursed a series of vicious curses, as he expended his divine power to trace the origin of his bloodline. That sturdy section links nothingness, while the other few link the original 5 gods. Among them, my own section is clearly more resilient than the other 4. Father, me, brothers and sisters. Eros was stunned and waited for a long time to sort out the relationship. He breathed a sigh of relief and looked back at the divine fetus that was being nurtured inside his body. His attitude has clearly become much gentler. So, it's my younger brother. The chaos of Chaos gave birth to the original 5 founding gods, who were the original foundation of the world. Subsequently, their own laws collided with each other, giving birth to everything in the world. Due to the power of chaos being distributed among the 5 primordial gods, the Mother Earth and the Dark Night are pouring out their divine powers to nurture the future, and the abyss is too far away. Only Eros, who wandered around the world, became the chosen host for the divine fetus, using his power to conceive. Among them, Chaos gave a push, otherwise Eros wouldn't have discovered the little thing in his body only now. Day after day, the divine fetus thrives and grows. The depletion of Eros's divine power became increasingly apparent, arousing his suspicion and leading to a self-exploration. Ah, what should I do with you? My poor unborn little brother. Eros, who was promoted to the level of elder brother, was actually in a good mood. Even though the divine connection was weak, it did not hinder him from seeking pleasure in the endless life of God. And now, the younger brother, who has not yet been born and has no right to choose, has become the pleasure of Eros with great honor. He moved the divine fetus to his own origin, where there was a small chaotic force. Who made Eros the smallest? By playing tricks and pretending to be weak, he successfully gained mercy from the father and the love of his brothers and sisters. In the journey of running around the world, I collected a lot of good things. Of course, these will all be my younger brother's toys in the future. Dear little brother will definitely be very happy. Eros is blind and confident. In the sea of emotions/desires, he opens up his body and occupies all the space, but the central position is carefully protected, even thinking that the speed at which the divine fetus absorbs power is too slow. Actively delivering energy to the younger brother. Looking at his little brother, wrapped in his divine power, Eros squinted and smiled. Grow up well, come out and play with me. The divine fetus flashed, as if responding. Ah, my lovely little brother. It's not working. Eros was intoxicated with the stickers, taking one mouthful after another. Whenever there was a manifestation of a body shape, it must be a foolish expression on his face. Hee, little brother. Mine. The outside world is constantly changing, only the sea of emotions/desires remains unchanged throughout the year. Eros also learned from his brother Tartaros to live in his house, but most of his divine power was used to nourish his younger brother, and he did not want the little one to develop poorly. He also used his own source, causing the sea of emotions/desires to surge and the power of love and desire to leak out. Eros temporarily ignored these, his strength was severely depleted, and he fell into a period of deep sleep. Until one day, Eros felt that a branch of his power had fallen on other gods, and he woke up. The embodiment of love and beauty, desire. Eros squinted his eyes and had an inexplicable smile on his face, saying, "Isn't it just the chosen working God? Hee. I knew that Father loves us." He looked at the increasingly strong divine fetus with a gentle gaze and said, "There's still some energy left, and my dear brother will be born. Do you want to borrow some from your brothers and sisters?" Before Eros could make a decision, the power of the night wandered over. Chapter 4. Big Melon. Little Brothers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Night, darkness, and abyss. The arrival of three primordial gods has weakened the sea of emotions and desires, which can only be barely sustained. Eros is speechless. How do you feel like they're here to ruin the situation? The landlord hasn't spoken yet. Black Knight held a black feather fan and exclaimed somewhat grandly, "Caius is up there, what do I see? Our idle younger brother is actually learning from his sister's parthenogenesis. As is well known, desire is intangible and asexual. If he wants to give birth to his own offspring like Mother Earth and Night, it is not impossible." Seeing the amazing Melon, Nyx was extremely excited. Fortunately, he didn't miss such an interesting thing. He really came the right way. Erebus has always been dominated by Nyx, while Tartaros, with his deep eyes, was also extremely shocked. He looked in the direction of Eros and kept scrutinizing. As if recognizing, "I feel like if I don't explain, Nyx's rumor will become true," and Eros tugged at the corner of his mouth. "My wise sister, please use your divine power to check. The relationship chain on the divine fetus is not just me, you all have a share." "Ha! Our cubs." Nyx was eating a melon when he accidentally spoke and felt his husband's hand tightening around his waist. He covered his mouth and obediently used his divine power to explore. 6 chains of relationships stand out in sight. Nikes blinked his eyes and said, "What an unexpected surprise. It turns out it's not a cub, it's a younger brother. Very good, very powerful." Tartaros, who was almost unstressed, breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, his innocence was still there. As a historical legacy issue, the divine fetus clearly needed some energy to complete the pregnancy, and coincidentally, 4 of the original 5 gods were present. They call out in tacit agreement. Not long after, the graceful and plump goddess also arrived at the sea of love and desire in Eros. "Why are you all here?" Gaia didn't expect them all to be here, as if she had been excluded and arrived late, feeling a little sad in her heart. Eros didn't want to get used to her and quickly said the message of the divine fetus, "Kind and loving sister Gaia, please contribute your strength to the birth of your younger brother. If the poor little one doesn't come out again, he will become a flawed deity with innate deficiencies in the future. Gaia is not so easy to deceive. It takes him a lot of time to make up for the loss of the source, and he doesn't have much care for his little brother who suddenly appears as a divine fetus." But at this moment, chaotic chows suddenly gave the 5 primordial gods a message, asking them to work together to help the birth of the divine fetus. This father's mandate must not be violated. Gaia held her breath in her heart and chose to contribute a portion of her true essence, but inevitably developed resentment towards the other 4, like thorns buried deep in the soil. Perhaps one day it will be pulled out by his own hands. Eros poked at the soft and elastic outer layer of the divine fetus and said, "Let the 5 original founding gods use their origins to help you be born. You are such a lucky little one." At present, the 4 primordial gods separate their origins and integrate into the divine womb nurtured by the source of Eros. The divine fetus that has absorbed the 5 divine origins is like instantly replenishing nutrients and emitting a dazzling light. The presence of the sea of emotions/desires became extremely prominent, and the power of Cronus in the sky was explored, being casually brushed aside by the 5 supreme beings. Cronus looked at the earth, which was the body of the mother god, with a territory comparable to the sky. The origin of the gods, Sooner or later, I will also be able to set foot, whether it is the sky or the earth, it will eventually belong to the king above all gods. Gaia was unaware of the great rebellion in his heart, as his gaze and mind were occupied by the baby born in the divine womb. He's really small. Nyx took advantage of Eros's loss of consciousness and secretly brought the little baby over, not very skillfully holding it. Small, soft, white and tender. A pair of eyes as clear as night, reflecting the entire world, with long and curly eyelashes like small fans. Sparkling and adorable. Gaia couldn't bear to see Nyx's technique. He lifted the baby into his arms as his sister, with skillful movements and a gentle, motherly aura. Cluck. The little baby smiled, his big eyes curved into 2 crescent moons, and his little mouth grinned. The teeth haven't even grown out yet. Nikus looked in surprise at the baby in Gaia's arms. Although he had also given birth to many children, the gods knew it from birth, and almost all of them were in the form of adults or teenagers. There is no such young and fragile period at all. The few present were all highly esteemed and powerful beings, and with a sweep of their divine thoughts, they could discover that their younger brother's soul was pure white, as ignorant as those newly born weak creatures. But a body that integrates the 5 fundamental powers is not one of those truly weak beings. Does our brother need to grow normally like an ordinary baby? Nyx is numb. If he is born, he can do it, but if he is raised. It seems that it is not impossible, after all, his younger brother is so cute. Gaia's clergy has a natural fondness for young children. If he wants to raise children, he feels that his experience is rich enough to be a temporary, foster mother, for his younger brother. Have you forgotten about me? Invisible power snatched the little one back from Gaia's arms, and Eros wrapped his brother in the softest clouds, experiencing constant changes in his embrace. The little guy didn't have any fear at all. However, after a while, I felt a bit tired and squinted my eyes without any energy. My small mouth unconsciously spat bubbles. Ah! Brother, stick it up. Eros wished his brothers and sisters were not here, so he could treat his lovely younger brother like this. Eros. The dissatisfaction from Gaia and Nyx. Eros is completely different, they are all of the same level, as long as they don't fight with all their might, they are basically half a pound. Shoo. My younger brother is asleep, don't make any noise. The 2 goddesses restrained their anger, but their beautiful eyes stared at their once beloved younger brother. Now it has become somewhat detestable. The sea of emotions/desires is ultimately the territory of Eros. Even if the 5 gods are all born of chaos, they cannot stay in each other's territory for a long time. Seeing that Eros was protecting his little brother tightly, they didn't have time to wait for the opportunity to seize it, so the 2 goddesses accepted their disappointment. One returned to the earth, one fell into the embrace of darkness and returned to the underworld together, and another, Taltalos, why haven't you left yet? Afraid that he might also come to compete with him for his younger brother, Eros didn't even bring his verbal greetings and called the abyss by its name. Tartaros raised his eyebrows lightly and remained silent. However, a sudden burst of divine power transformed into momentum, leaving Eros unable to defend himself and unable to move. Eros. Chapter 5. Guardianship. Growing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tartaros, what are you doing? He guarded the earth and the night with all his might, but he did not guard against the seemingly harmless Abyss, this deep and indifferent guy who never interacts with the gods. Tartaros stepped forward without hesitation, ignoring the temporarily suppressed Eros. He reached out and poked the baby's cheek. "Well, it's really soft. Take care of him, Eros." This dominant statement made Eros unhappy, and he emphasized loudly, "You don't have to say it, this is my brother." "No, it's our younger brother." Abyss, finally exposing ambition. As expected, just like the earth and the night, they are all bad guys who want to come and grab their younger brother. They will definitely not let you succeed. After Tartaros leaves. Finally, Eros was able to move freely, and just in case, he added several layers of power seals to his sea of emotions/desires. Next time those people come again, they won't be so easy. After completing these tasks, he transforms into his true form and immerses himself in the waves of the sea of emotions/desires. Of course, the most crucial part is naturally to guard his younger brother's side. Accompanying the young baby to the kingdom of dreams. A newborn baby's soul is pure and childish, because their essence is divine and their learning ability is strong. In a few days, I could understand Eros's words in the interaction, although there were still many things that I didn't quite understand. Not hindering him from waving his tender white arms. Our little Joel is really smart. He discovered his brother came so quickly, and rewarded him with a kiss and a boo. Ilos's transformed figure is a stunning beauty with long pink hair. He was wearing a white robe with a pink satin pattern on top, adding a beautiful and lively touch to the clean plain white, which caught the attention of little Joel. Anyway, every time his little claws are held, they touch a strand of pink on Eros's shoulder. There is this attraction. Every time Eros steals a kiss, it is a great success, rather than being pushed away by little Joel with his little hand. A face of helplessness that cannot be refused. Clever Joel, lovely Joel, only belongs to Eros Joel. Forgive my brother's love for you, I can't help but feel that you are a unique treasure gifted by Chaos. But the earth and the night are peeping, and the abyss is casting a gaze. How can I hide you well? You are still in my arms now. How can I keep you, who can run and jump when you grow up in the future? Eros, who controls emotions, will be captured by emotions. The sour and sweet taste is truly a rare experience for God. Eros propped his head up and muttered to himself next to Joel. He only secretly glanced at the river of fate and saw himself working tirelessly for the little one. Completely lost the former carefree and unrestrained. Is it worth it? A small life unexpectedly born Joel, who was asleep, vomited a bubble and it shattered. I don't know what fun thing I encountered in my dream, my lips curled up and I looked carefree. Having the power to bring peace to the soul. Eros was also comforted. He perceives this wonderful and gentle power. Even if the deity is not revealed, it can bring a miraculous light of healing. Little Joel. Grow up well. The fingers were unconsciously held by the tender little hands, and Eros's heart was calm and gentle. The body dispersed, and the entire sea of emotions/desires was under the will of its master, guarding its most precious treasure. Time is gradually fading away. The earth is filled with various species, all of which are manifestations of the divine duties of the gods. The collision of the wisdom of the living beings sparks the birth of subordinate deities time and time again. Create something out of nothing, perfect the rules. Chaotic Chaos generously bestows equal divine power and reverence upon the contributors, which is a commendation. During the reign of Cronus, the gods comply with the requirements of the law. Together they created the first creation called humanity, and this era is also known as the Golden Age. Human beings are all made up of the essence of heaven and earth according to the appearance of the gods. They are born with good virtue and strong power, and are favored by the gods. They live together with the gods without excessive labor, as the earth provides various delicious fruits and herds of cattle and sheep on the grassland. They will not age, their bodies will always maintain the strength of their youth, and they will not get sick. They will enjoy the joy of harvest and feasts with the gods throughout their lives. Even death is very peaceful. The humans of the Golden Age were favored by the gods. When they calmly welcome death and leave the earth, their souls will transform into heroes and become the protectors of all things. To uphold justice and morality, and to punish all evil. Having extremely strong morality and order, and being the most devout and faithful believer of the gods. But after their death, they transformed into heroes and served the temple as subordinate gods to the gods, to some extent, forcibly escaping their souls and heading towards the underworld. Thanatos, the god of death, and his twin brother, the sleeping god Sapunos, are both children of the night goddess's parthenogenesis. He felt death approaching, his dark wings flickering and bringing a black mist of death, but arrived at the spot. The sickle of death has not yet been swung. As soon as the ghost body, which was supposed to turn gray and white, broke away from its body, it was instantly covered by a faint golden light and became a subordinate, heroic spirit of the gods. Thanatos stopped his sickle in his hand, and his deep eyes coldly glanced at the spirit before turning and leaving. It's not that we can't forcibly take it away, but things that are protected by gods and brought back to the underworld will be nagged by the gods on the earth. I'm so annoyed. He is very busy with work and doesn't have time to debate with those gods, let alone the current god King Cronus seems to have some ideas about the power of the underworld. In order not to cause more trouble, he gave up very decisively, losing a soul and going to harvest hundreds to make up for it. Death leaves. The transformed spirit breathed a sigh of relief as he prostrated himself on the ground to bid farewell to the death god, who was also a deity praising his faith. But something that came out of nowhere collided with him and took off a long distance. The hero was stunned. Although he had transformed into a spiritual body, his body and physique were still strong, and his power comparable to that of gods could not be easily knocked away like this. Are you okay? I just came out and didn't notice you there. A small figure wearing a black cloak ran over, and the spirit lay on the ground, guessing that it was a small creature like a goblin or dwarf when the cloak came out. Just when the little cloak comes to my side. From bottom to top, he saw his young and tender appearance, definitely not the inferior existence of goblins and dwarfs. He is really good looking. It almost melted my heart. Who are you from? The early childhood of golden humans is very short, and most of them are sturdy and have never had such a heartwarming appearance before. Who owns it? The little cloak tilted its head, and its night-like eyes were filled with little stars. I am from the Eros family. Don't tell him, he'll be caught and taken back to study. Joel doesn't like studying. Seeing that the spirit was not damaged by oneself, Xiao Qiao waved his hand and bounced away. The heroic spirit only realized after a while. He patted his forehead and said, "Damn it, who is the irresponsible elder to let the cubs wander outside? Although the earth is safe, there are also many hidden dangers." He was easily captured by Joel's appearance. A delicate and unparalleled little cutie with red lips and white teeth, who would be so ruthless and allow him to encounter danger. So the spirit began to call out to its own deity. Wise and kind God of prophets, please help that lost cub. Walking alone on the earth, the danger is unpredictable. Please grant them the power of protection to safely return home. Chapter 6. Dark Night. To the Underworld. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 7. Bringing Twins. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Why don't I open the door and you leave? Thanatos suggested expressionlessly, but in reality, the more nervous he was, the more expressionless his expression became. Little Joel was actually a cub raised by Eros, and he smelled hesitation on the cloak in front of him. Those eyes, which were becoming increasingly clear in the darkness, were even black, but the little one's eyes were particularly bright. There was no answer to Tanatos's words. He hugged Tanato's calf with a snap and lifted his head, revealing a brilliant smile. It is very touching and leaves Thanatos with no choice. If we continue to procrastinate, the business will pile up. The big black cloak reached out and scooped the small black cloak into its arms. Next, you follow me and don't speak. Understood. Xiao Zhou was lifted up and hung in the arms of the big black cloak, but couldn't hear what was said outside. He only knew that the darkness brought him a sense of stability, and his little head tilted. Thanatos walked through the sticks and greeted the ferryman, only to hear a small whoosh in his arms. He lifted his cloak and took a look. The little guy actually fell asleep like this, so I'm too worried about him, right? Sure enough, it's still a cub. Indifference is like death, with unknown emotions spreading in the heart, and the movements of the hands becoming gentle. Try not to affect the sleep of the cubs. After the Styx River, there is a vast dark wilderness filled with wild white tulips. There is no light or hope here, only the weightless souls of the deceased wander. The ghosts' eyes are hollow and numb. Because of death, they have taken away all their happiness. They are creatures of various races who have been deprived of their right to life due to accidents or punishment. And life and death are ruled by the three goddesses of fate. Krato, the weaver of the lifeline, is responsible for winding the lifeline from the winding rod to the spindle, and has been weaving the lifeline she belongs to since the birth of life. Laches, the distributor of the lifeline, measures the length of the lifeline using a pole. Atropos, the scissor of the lifeline, is responsible for cutting the lifeline with scissors and determining its depth. Thanatos brought a string of undead spirits to the hall, which should have been a throne for judging evil. Despite the efforts of Nyx in the Dark Night, there are still many imperfect laws in the underworld. A carrot is a pit, and seeds are needed to grow. Perhaps annoyed, Nyx took one of the sources of sleep from Sepunos, rubbed 3,000 dreamy gods with his hands, and they had black wings on their shoulders, collectively known as Onylos. Adding bricks and tiles to the vast underworld, contributing strength. Thanatos handed over the soul he brought from the earth to the head of the 3,000 dreamers. Morpheus, the creator, was able to transform various character images in his dreams, lifelike and lifelike. And his two brothers serve as assistants. Fantasists are skilled at transforming lifeless images such as earth, stone, water, and wood. Ichiros, known as the Imagist, is skilled in transforming birds and animals, and is also known as the terrorist Foberto by humans. The judgment has not been established, and the soul cannot discern good and evil. Now under the supervision of 3,000 dreamers, they can transform into everything in the world, and suppressing these ordinary souls is enough. The gods are not under the control of death, and the golden humans are protected by the gods. The only ones who truly die are ordinary beasts, elves, and fairies. So the business is still within a controllable range. Thanatos has completed the task and there is still some free time to dispose of before the next set of tasks arrives. At this time, it was daylight and Xiao Pu Noa's work had not yet begun. He decided to go find his brother. The large bed made of black jade was covered with soft black feathers, and Zayupinos slept soundly on the bed. Because at night, he had to run across the earth, allowing all living beings to fall asleep and fall asleep. That is the kingdom of dreams, and also the dwelling place of 3,000 dreamers. Thanatos had not yet approached his brothers, and there was a movement in his arms. I almost forgot, there's also a little guy. The big cloak took out a small cloak from its pocket. The night goddess who accidentally caught sight of this scene suddenly grabbed the dark arm beneath her, causing the surprise of the Dark Lord. Nyx was momentarily shocked and didn't have time to explain to her husband. Instead, she separated more thoughts from the location of the death god and the sleep god, as if she was peeping into a secret and stimulating. Of course, this is the mother's strong love for her son. Thanatos, my dear son, where did you steal the cub from? Or is it about parthenogenesis like me? Nyx reminisced about it. I never thought about whether Thanatos could have a baby, but as his child, anything is possible. I don't know if the mother god is peeping in the darkness. Thanatos untied his cloak, revealing his handsome beauty in the darkness. His cold silver eyes showed no emotion, and he met the round black cat eyes. Big eyes stared at small eyes. The scene was somewhat eerie and humorous, forcibly dispelling Thanatos's coldness of, keep strangers away. Xiao Joel is brave because Thanatos poses no threat to him. His emotional sensitivity sees through the softness beneath indifference, as well as his love for himself. It is said to be favored with confidence and fearlessness. He experimented countless times with Eros, adept at how to lower one's guard and generate infinite love. Hello, my friend. Nice to meet you. I'm Joel from the Eros family, what's your name? The little one looked enthusiastic and bold, completely not afraid of Thanatos' indifference, and just opened his mouth with 2 greetings. But the content of the words is it the offspring of the Eros family. Thanatos. It has to be said that Joel's words are undoubtedly a big weapon for those who know the status of Eros. Thanatos almost forgot about sending the little guy back to the ground until Hypnos woke up. Whose offspring is this from? Sleeping god and death god are twin brothers, with the same roots and origins. At first, I thought Thanatos was involved in a mission and gave birth to a cub, until he used his divine power to trace his bloodline and kinship. It was discovered that there was a hint of familiarity, but it did not belong to his brother Thanatos, and his heart calmed down. So here comes the question. Thanatos, you brought back live cubs. Little one, so big one. Most importantly, he is alive, alive. Hypnos, I know you're in a hurry, but don't worry yet. I'm just about to take him back to the ground. Thanatos patiently explained that he, who had always spoken briefly, was no longer so meticulous in his words this time. Only twin brothers from the same origin have this honor. Xiao Pu Nuasi didn't pay attention due to habit, and instead, his brother, who followed the rules the most, violated the rules of the underworld. This matter made him uneasy, even if the little one was good-looking, he just wanted to send the trouble away quickly in his heart. The night is about to occupy the world, and it's my turn to work. Taking the opportunity, I will send my cubs to the earth. By the way, where does he live? Chapter 8. Patrol. Knight's Pet. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At least it's an innocent cub. Xiao Pu Nuasi is not so ruthless as to casually abandon the little one. Otherwise, just send it up and have Thanatos pick it up again. It's a waste of effort. Thanatos' silver eyes met those of Hypnos, and he said with a profound meaning, his home is in the sea of love/desire. The sea of emotions/desires. That's not. Hypnos looked at Thanatos in surprise, and then at the little guy next to him who trusted his brother very much. How did you manage to kidnap the great god's cub? If you get beaten up, even the mother god won't be able to save you. He has already started thinking, is it still time to take his brother to seek the protection of the mother god? I can't just watch my brother get beaten up. Pushi, don't wait until then. Hand over the little one to me and ensure the safety of both of you brothers. A light smile came through. Black shadows surged like a tide, engulfing all existence in the boundless darkness. Mother God. You are the embodiment of the night, the shadows of darkness. The moon tailors new clothes for you, and the stars adorn your skirts. Praise you, the goddess of the night, our mother. The layered but not complicated long skirt curved in the air, shimmering slightly as it walked during its brilliant and hidden period. The black veil on the head makes the face hazy and unclear, but the delicate chin exposed reveals a beautiful contour. He is the primordial night, the goddess Nikus. Cold and uninteresting Thanatos, the most satisfying thing you have done is to bring the little one to the underworld. Nyx appeared, not targeting his two sons. His figure fluttered up to little Joel and hugged the obedient little one. "My dear little brother, your name?" "I am Joel from the Eros family." Little Joel blinked his eyes, his large and round cat eyes were clear and pure, and an innocent aura spread. It was inexplicably heartwarming, even the gods couldn't help but be moved. Niku raised his eyebrows and said, "From the Eros family." "No, you're from the great father Chow's family, and also our 5 common little brothers. Eros wants to monopolize." "Impossible." Joel was a bit confused, as he had the breath of 5 primordial gods in his body, so he felt friendly towards Nyx. But his understanding is blank. "Eros didn't say it, but I believe you won't deceive children, so you're calling yourself, sister. That's right, truly my little brother, clever Joel." Holding little Joel, Nyx ignored him and the 2 big kids standing on the side. Shio Punas had a complicated expression in his eyes. "Brother, you are really amazing. Even if you bring a cub back, you can pick the elder." "Thanatos." "No, he came in by himself." "Alright, don't stand either. Those with work should go to work. I want to bring peace and tranquility to the earth at night." Nikes has a little Joel in his arms, and he is not in the mood to manage the whereabouts of the adults. I blend into the night and fly towards the earth. Zayupinos draped himself in a black cloak, concealing his radiant appearance. He held the flute in his hand and played the music of sleep, following the night towards the earth. Silently accompanying is Thanatos. Faced with Zayupinos' surprised gaze, he remained calm and said, "Creatures will fall into eternal silence in the deep sleep of the night. Can I add a shift? With brothers as companions, I am extremely happy." So the night marched through heaven and earth, with the gods of death and sleep accompanying each other. I don't know how many lives there are, and after this sleep, they can never wake up again. It also cast a veil of taboo over the legends of the gods of death and sleep, causing even the gods to feel frightened. Although gods do not die. But they cannot escape the capture of fate, and once the fate of Moros comes, there will also be a crisis of extinction for the gods. Nothing is static. The power of the night and its descendants is too powerful and terrifying, and they restrain each other from the legitimate gods. Therefore, Cronus is afraid of the dark night, and he also suppresses his brothers and sisters even more. No opportunities for advancement are allowed. The gods of the Titans lived on Mount Otris, and during the reign of Cronus, they had at least gained freedom compared to the endless darkness. Although this freedom is limited. But it did not prevent them from feeling grateful to their younger brother Cronus, who was becoming increasingly violent in the new divine king. They are also just huddled in the residence of Mount Othrys, not going out or causing trouble, except for the obligations that need to be fulfilled by the clergy. They express their innocence and obedience to the divine king. Not including Cronus' wife, Queen Rhea. She is the goddess who controls the passage of time. When she was imprisoned by her heavenly father Ilanos in the abyss, her youngest brother Kronos stood up and led her brothers and sisters to overthrow the cruel heavenly father, becoming the new divine king. In Rhea's heart, Cronus is the great hero who saves herself, and she deeply loves her husband. But the beautiful and gentle goddess covered her mouth, curled up in the corner, watching her husband do the most terrifying thing. Rhea covered her mouth and wept uncontrollably, the light in her eyes gradually fading. "Cronus, my beloved husband, how could you do such a thing? I can't continue anymore. You are even more cruel than the Heavenly Father. I will definitely stop you." She made a decision in her heart. One day in the future, Rhea dares to boldly switch sides in front of Cronus, who trusts her. Perhaps Cronus had never thought that his wife, the gentle and beautiful goddess who loved him deeply, would one day have the courage to resist him. Perhaps he underestimated it. A woman. It can become incredibly powerful because of love. Previously, Rhea's love was in Cronus, but later on, her love was Joel was wearing his own little black cloak, held in the arms of the Dark Knight, wandering between the whole world. Black eyes looked curiously at the earth. The living beings fell into a deep sleep amidst the sound of the flute of Suppunus, and Thanatos raised his sickle to harvest the list of deaths. Even the monsters remained silent, afraid to disturb their work, as the night covered and everything fell silent. Only the occasional giggling of little Joel was particularly clear at night, leaving several rare marks on Joel's cerebellum by Nyx. "Sister Nikes, don't kiss me anymore." Joel sat on the night train, wandering around the world without the need for his short legs to race hard. It was originally a very happy thing. Just his sister, Nyx in the dark, doesn't know what's going on. If there's anything, just give it a kiss. Although the lips have a very soft touch. But Joel always felt like he was being taken advantage of, but unfortunately, he was in the hands of the Dark Knight and dared not speak up. It was evident that the little one was a bit angry. After reflecting on himself for a second, Nyx coaxed himself. Okay, Joel said if he doesn't kiss, he won't kiss anymore. Not letting himself take the initiative doesn't count as little Joel taking the initiative. Nike squinted his mysterious eyes like night. I don't know what calculations are being made in my heart. A sudden chill rushed to the forehead. Joel sensed a hint of danger and silently hugged his sister. Nyx's mouth curved. Look, let little Joel take the initiative, there are ways. Chapter 9. Rare. Big Boss bringing children. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The cold wind is piercing. As pioneers of death, they mercilessly roam the earth, searching for the unfortunate ones chosen by death. Travel in the dark, like a king patrolling. The heavens and the earth are shrouded in darkness, whether it is the god King Cronus who has obtained the sky deity or the mother of the earth Gaia. Faced with the power of the Dark Knight, we had to compromise by 3 points. Because in the primitive chaos, darkness could almost compete with chaos, but later chaos emerged superior, choosing to evolve Wanfa and giving birth to the original 5 gods. As the initial foundation of the world continues to develop. Nyx in the dark, Erebos in the darkness, and Tartaros in the abyss are the ones who inherit almost all of the origins of darkness. They are all born in the same camp. Even Gaia, as her sister, sometimes has to admit the unfathomable power of darkness. Fortunately, under the eternal witness of Caius, they all had an agreement with each other that no one could actively break existing rules except in their own domain. Preserved Gaia's absolute authority among the gods. At dawn is approaching. The goddess of the earth lifted her skirt, searched every inch of the earth, and finally arrived before returning to the underworld in the dark. Nyx, my sister, wait. Half of Nyx's footsteps as she stepped into the gates of hell stopped, and she looked at the goddess rushing towards her, calm and composed. Gaia. My busy and never proactive sister, why do you rush to ask me to stop? If you have something to say, don't stand by. Not at all polite. Gaia's words had already sunk from his throat, and his gaze met that of Nyx in the distance. Until a small yawn. Breaking the scene of 2 goddesses facing each other, the oppressive feeling of wind and rain dissipated in an instant. Why doesn't Sister Nikes leave? Joel didn't realize the current situation, so he rubbed his eyes and said, Are you lost like me? I first came to the earth at that time. He travels east and west, unable to distinguish the route at all. It was only after being attracted by Thanatos in the great black cloak that he followed through the gates of hell and ran to the underworld. Puff, lovely little Joel, I'm not lost, it's just that a noisy little bird happened to be blocking the way. Little bird. Where is it? All of Joel's knowledge comes from the popularization of Eros, as well as the perception of all things by God tomorrow. He may know the existence of birds. But there is no real sense of seeing or touching, so curiosity is also normal, as soon as a conscious animal appears. Joel grabbed Nikes and hugged his arm, his little head spinning non-stop, but only saw a beautiful big sister, and there was no little bird in Nike's mouth. He was slightly disappointed and said, "Did it fly away?" Nyx pursed his lips and suppressed a smile. Gaia on the side couldn't control her face and turned black. If Nyx really laughs out loud, it is estimated that the two goddesses will have a big battle here. Is the reason a bird? This is too disrespectful. Nyx managed to hold his composure and, as he gazed at Gaia, raised his eyebrows gently. They exchanged friendly glances for a while before taking a step back. Joel was lifted up. Gaia approached with a smile on her face and said, "Little Joel, I'm your sister, Gaia." The word "you" was bitten heavily by he. Shoo. Nyx sneered and didn't intentionally argue with Gaia. From now on, little Joel may not always stay in the underworld. It would be safer to have Gaia protect him on the earth. For the sake of being cute, he will allow Gaia to come closer, only a little, there is nothing more. Gaia still wants to reach out and touch. Quickly, Nyx took 2 steps back and dodged. Seeing Gaia unable to maintain the gentle and loving expression on her face, Nyx provocatively smiled and said, "Dawn has arrived. It's time for Joel and I to go home. Gaia, see you again next time." "You, wait. Gaia stood at the disappearance of the Hell's Gate and stomped her feet to herself. This Nyx, he runs quite fast. Next time. Who knows when the next time will be? Black Knight will never let Joel leave until he loses interest. My poor little brother, I hope to see you again next time, lively and healthy. Damn Nyx, damn Nyx. Ha ha ha. As soon as Nyx remembered Gaia's expression, he couldn't help but burst out laughing after returning to the underworld. The ghosts waiting in line on the banks of the Styx trembled, and the soul fire was scared away by the place where it was born. They gathered in one place, feeling uneasy. Only the crossing god next to the Styx river had a happy expression on his face. You are the embodiment of endless darkness, the beginning of the world's troubles. Neither the sky nor the earth can match the darkness. Are you, Sharon? Nyx held Joel and stopped by the banks of the Styx river, ending a wild night on the earth. Now, it's time to take Joel for a stroll in the underworld. After passing through the gates of hell, there is the outer layer of the underworld, where there is no grass growing and desolate. Ghosts staying here for a long time will be devoured and assimilated by rules. To preserve their integrity, they need to enter the underworld. Before this, it was necessary to pass through the distressed river, one of the 5 great rivers of the underworld surrounded by the outer layer. This is in the outermost part of the Styx river, where the water quality is lighter than that of the present world. The physical body cannot pass through, and the soul will be eroded by the river water. Only by taking an exclusive boat can one cross the river. Charon, the son of Nyx, is the god of crossing the troubled river, and he will demand payment from the deceased. If you don't have money, you can only wander by the riverbank. As for fighting with Sharon, he would throw his rude soul into the Styx river, mercilessly watching the dead disappear completely and become a part of the river. Charon, who looked like an old man, was seen as a terrifying demon by the souls on the shore because he had lost several troublemaking souls into the river. At this moment, his smile was bright. The soul that froze the shore was quite shocked. Praise you, my mother, the supreme goddess. Charon stroked his chest and lowered his head. If it weren't for the limited space on his small boat, he could have knelt down and kissed the goddess's shoe tip. Sister Nikes, is this a ship? Joel only sees or comes into contact with specific information about things in his mind, but this knowledge is like data, without much realism. The little one's body was about to move, blinking big eyes at Nyx, looking round and innocent like a cat. It's really hard to resist, come down and play. Charon, take Xiao Joel to play for a while, and today's ferry fee will be waived, said Nikes gently. He casually bestowed upon him a source of darkness, which Sharon took over. He, who was originally a descendant of darkness, quickly merged and his divine character grew stronger. Thank you for your generosity and kindness. Karen bowed his head again, and his attitude towards the Supreme Mother God could not be too respectful. Joel looked up at Sharon on the side. A little one, with pure and clean eyes, only curious, completely devoid of the disgust and disdain of other deities. What a lovely child. Respected Your Highness, do you want to try rowing? Said Sharon with a smile in his eyes. Chapter 10. Amusement. Underworld Sightseeing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Rowing, great. 3-year-old Joel is not as big as this or, with Sharon leading him and symbolically paddling a few times, which can be considered rowing. Nyx watched the little one play with indulgence, the danger of the Styx River, even the gods dared not easily try. However, the laws of the Styx are ineffective against him. The entire composition of the underworld is the ontological evolution of Erebos and Tartaros, as equal beings. Some of the rules in the underworld may be a bit troublesome, but they will not have an impact on he in the dark body. Suffer from the addiction of rowing well. Joel and Sharon also became familiar with it and received the benefits of a lifetime free ferry. Listening, the sound of souls crying by the riverbank grew louder. It's all envy. Crossing the river of distress, stepping on the dark wilderness, the white tulips sway melancholy, like wandering souls with nowhere to go in this vast space, they have not experienced judgment. In addition to the heinous crimes, there are also souls punished by the gods, who are plunged into the abyss and suffer the pain of being burned by the earth's fire. The remaining souls wander in the wilderness, waiting for the return of the God of judgment, and then being assigned whether to go to the land of dreams or the land of pain. Joel stood on the riverbank waving, "Goodbye. Looking forward to seeing you again next time." Karen also waved his hand, with a smile on his face, humming an unknown song, and turned to the other side to fulfill his religious duties. Free his rationality returned, and his greed for money also arose in his heart, but he never had the courage and courage. Looking at the soul eagerly awaiting the riverbank, Karen snorted heavily and said, "To my compassionate knight and compassionate goddess, today you poor souls can receive the honor of crossing the river for free. Of course, those who pay for the crossing will board the ship first." The originally numb souls instantly injected light, one by one eager to board the ship. Pop. An unfortunate soul was thrown into the river by Sharon, and his old face was shrouded in darkness, seeming ominous. Having learned from the past, one must queue up obediently in the future. Although it's not yet my turn, I still have expectations in my heart. The deadline for the free river crossing day is 1 year, which happened to have passed recently, and the soul can only stay on the other side for 1 year. If it is not possible to go to the other side in time. At a light level, the soul may be consumed and retain wisdom, while at a heavy level, it may be assimilated by rules and only remain fragmented or completely eliminated. Only the deceased will have obsession with rebirth. They often hate themselves for not cherishing their lives when they were alive, and what they once had is now within reach. Joel stood next to a tulip as tall as him, tiptoeing to smell the fragrance of the flowers. No taste. He maintained his posture, lifted his small face, and his big eyes were full of innocence and confusion. Nyx held his younger brother in his arms and kept rubbing him until Joel refused, and he regretfully stopped. The white tulip in the underworld is a regular form used to attract undead souls and maintain the immortality of the spiritual body. If it really matters about taste. Does little Joel want to try the taste of his soul? Nikes looked at the undead in the wilderness. No, 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 no. Joel quickly shook his head, afraid that Sister Nyx would really catch a few undead spirits for him to taste. It's too scary. The undead, who is pale and pale all over, doesn't taste good at first glance. Joel refuses to try. Really? Forget it then. Nyx had a regretful expression on his face, which frightened Joel to take his finger and leave immediately. Joel, who hurriedly walked ahead, couldn't see the curled corners of Nyx's mouth behind him, with a look of interest on his face. Following Joel's suggestion, he walked through the entire dark wilderness with relatively little strength, bypassing the other 5 rivers of the Styx, and at some point, he arrived at a cracked dark land. The smile on Nyx's face disappeared. Sister. Joel found himself unable to pull Nyx and turned around to see the expressionless face of the other person, asking anxiously. Nyx blinked his eyes and regained his relaxed demeanor. Joel, be good, the place ahead is not easy to walk, let's take a different path. I haven't finished speaking yet. The land ahead is cracking faster, forming a small path. Brother, come on. Nyx wished he could leave now and immediately with Joel, and return to his and Erebos' residence. If I had known I would be targeted, I wouldn't have run around. Without Erebus, Nyx gazed at the path leading to the deepest part of the underworld with deep eyes. If you can fight alone, it's not worth it. You should know that the abyss still imprisons many monsters who come out of nowhere and feed on the world. If they escape from the chaos because of a fight with the other party. Not to mention Gaia, my father Chaos will come knocking on his door. After careful consideration, Nyx made a choice. Xiao Joel, are you going in? That's one of your brothers, Tartaros of the Abyss. If little Joel says he doesn't want to, then don't blame my sister for bringing the little cutie home. Unfortunately, reality does not follow Nyx's ideas. Joel is equally curious about all unknowns, just like a normal child, he has a natural instinct to explore the unknown. The path is ahead, and I don't know what secrets are hidden inside, which makes Sister Nyx's taboo. Joel wants to go in and take a look. Joel obeyed his own wishes, and at this point, most of his brothers and sisters would not refuse his demands. Eros is now even more worried while stocking up. Little Joel's divinity did not show, and in order to give him more opportunities to interact, he forced himself to restrain all his guardianship of Joel and let the little one walk on the earth. Don't mention the many protective measures set by Eros on your body, in case of danger. The powerful divine power will bring little Joel back to the sea of emotions/desires, without any procrastination. Nyx saw this and was not worried that little Joel would encounter fatal danger. He could just go to Moiri, the 3 goddesses of fortune, to see if there was a destiny line for little Joel. Moiri controls the fate line of all gods and all things except for the original 5 gods, if little Joel is not among them. So it's just that the deity doesn't show up. He is also the eternal primordial divine throne, even if the gods walk to the last moment, they can still exist forever. Okay, then I'll wait for you outside. Don't forget your sister just because you have a new brother. Joel was pinching the flesh on his cheek and facing Nyx's dangerous gaze, he had to say against his heart, Sister, don't worry, Joel won't forget. Hey, Sister Nyx's gaze is so dangerous, dare he say, forget. Just as terrifying as Eros. Oh, by the way, how long did Eros ask himself not to play outside for too long? Anyway, let Eros come and take him home when the time comes. Joel also realized the sad fact that he was a road crazy who couldn't distinguish direction after going out. Reorganize your little black cloak. Although there is nothing hidden in the eyes of the original gods, it is still a useful legendary treasure in front of the gods outside of them. Little Joel walked with short legs, step by step.